Hey, friend. Okay, we are still in that stage of the new year where often we have these goals that we're trying to figure out of what we want to do to improve ourselves over the next year. And it might be that you really are feeling like, hey, I want to take charge of my health. I really want to start to feel better, but it all feels really overwhelming. There are all these different routines you could do, supplements, diets, protocols. And it can become a point where it's almost like analysis paralysis, where we've taken in so much information that we have overwhelmed ourselves and then we just do nothing at all. So, first, I want to say just stop and take a deep breath for a second. And then I want to ask you, what if your body doesn't need you to do more right now? It needs you to focus on one simple habit done consistently over the whole year. Today, I'm going to share one daily habit that can directly affect your energy, your brain fog, your inflammation, how stressed your body feels. And the thing is, most moms with chronic symptoms are often not doing this consistently. It's simple, it's practical, and it is also going to support detox pathways, your nervous system. There are just so many things that it impacts. So let's get into it. Welcome to Chronic Illness Moms. If you're more than just a tired mom, I'm talking trying to get through the day without crashing by noon while living with chronic symptoms in a neurodivergent home, you're not alone. I'm Ashley, a wife, mom, and certified health coach. I've lived with autoimmune disease, fatigue, brain fog, inflammation, and flare-ups that made everyday life feel harder than it should. In this podcast, we're going to focus on creating healthy habits that help you to feel better, even in the middle of chronic illness and neurodivergent family life. Pop in your earbuds and take a break from the chaos. It's you time. All right, before we get started, I wanted to just share really quick a little bit of a update, I guess. You might have noticed that the name of the podcast has changed and also my tagline on my podcast art. And I want to just say, when I started this show, I was really talking very heavily about moms with neurodivergent kids. And we were talking about like the healthy habits and like healthy food and having healthy stuff in our home, but also really digging into kind of that aspect of the neurodivergent family life and kind of how that impacted really everything. And I decided to take a step back from that just because of my kids' own privacy. And that is still true. I am still not going to be really digging into a lot of that stuff just because of that reason. And so when I made that change, I began to speak more directly about chronic illness. This is something I have personally experienced over the last, I don't even know, at least, I have had an autoimmune disease for at least 16 years, I think. And so we were talking a lot about fatigue, brain fog, inflammation, sleep, and like healthy habits to support your body, basically. What I have come to realize over time is that these two things actually belong together. The stress, the unpredictability, the emotional intensity of having a house that is neurodiverse. And then really what I've begun to realize over time, as I've talked with more people, as I have experienced this myself, is that plays a very specific impact on a mom, on her health, on her nervous system, on her sleep, on long-term health, and on long-term health goals. And so it felt like leaving that piece out was really only giving you part of the story. And so now you're going to hear me talking about having this neurodiverse household, and really not in the sense of like family life, but in the sense of this is part of your health picture. So if you are in a house that is neurodiverse, you are going to realize, and we're going to be talking about how that home dynamic can be potentially impacting your health. It's not going to be a parenting thing, but really just one of those factors about how our bodies are experiencing life and how they are functioning based off of our home environment. So I just wanted to give you that update on where we are with that. And then let's just go ahead and dig into the episode now. Okay, so whenever I first started learning about, chronic illness and your nervous system and how they were related, I found that hydration was a habit that I struggled with. I would think, okay, well, I drink whenever I'm thirsty, so that should be enough. But thirst can actually be a kind of like a last signal, and it can often show up after your body is at least partially already or on its way to being dehydrated. So, when we might be missing this and we don't even realize it. And the thing to look at or to think about is that dehydration isn't just like, oh, my mouth is kind of dry. It can also impact so many other things like your energy levels. You can get headaches, brain fog, irritability. You can feel dizzy, more cravings, more inflammation. And then obviously it does impact your sleep as well. And so many moms, and I have lived this life before, where you wake up already dehydrated, then you add in caffeine, which is just dehydrating you more. Then you start your day taking care of everyone else, which impacts your body with stress, and your body just never really catches up. And you're also not giving it one of those really foundational pieces of fuel that it needs. So, do you ever think, okay, I'm trying to eat better, I'm taking supplements, I'm working on my stress, but I still feel awful? I find that this is really common. And when we look at your daily foundations, one thing can often be missing, and that is that you're not drinking enough water to support your nervous system, your circulation, your joints, and then also to keep those inflammation levels down. So this is why inside my chronic health coaching sessions, we don't start with complicated protocols or anything like that. We look at what are the foundations of what your body needs right now. And then we choose one or two of those habits to focus on that are going to give you the most relief for the least amount of effort. So often hydration is one of those. If you want to learn more about that, please go to ashleybraden.com/coaching and you can book a call with me. And then let's dig into it today to see, okay, what am I missing with hydration and what should I be aiming for? First, let's talk about why hydration matters so much. And I do think if we can become aware of what it's impacting and what could be potentially causing some of our symptoms, it can motivate us a little bit more to be intentional with getting enough hydration, which is why I want to share some of these with you. The first is that hydration does support your stress response. So when you are dehydrated, your body is stressed out, so it's going to produce more cortisol, which of course we know is your stress hormone. So more cortisol means you're going to have trouble with inflammation, more anxiety, you're going to feel tired. You often are going to have trouble with blood sugar regulation because it impacts your blood sugar as well. So if we can stay well hydrated, we are giving our body the fuel that it needs. And also we're not putting that additional stress on it that chronic dehydration is going to cause. Another reason is that your brain depends on hydration. So brain fog, there are different causes, obviously. I've had it be from low vitamin D before, but one of the reasons that it can be happening is because you might be dehydrated. And the reason why is because brain fog can often be a mix of low hydration, poor circulation, and then also when your nervous system is stressed out. So when you are drinking enough water, oxygen and nutrients are able to be moved more easily to your brain, which is going to help you to be able to think more clearly and then also just feel generally less scattered. Another one that's a really big thing that we don't necessarily think about all the time, and that is that it can support your immune system and also lower inflammation. When you're dehydrated, lymph fluid is going to become thicker. It's also going to move more slowly. And so when that slows down the flow of lymph in your body, that's going to create congestion, which can often result in pain. It can also make it harder for your body to remove waste because that is the whole point of the lymphatic system, which can then lead to like swollen lymph nodes. It can stress your immune system out. It's going to cause more inflammation in your body. So when we are staying well hydrated, we are able to allow that lymph fluid to move more freely. That is also going to support the drainage of the lymph fluid, and then it's going to help your body to feel less inflamed and just less heavy and honestly kind of clogged up. I don't know if you've ever experienced that where you can tell you have like lymph just kind of stuck, it's built up in your body. I actually have a lymphatic cream that I make and I sell it as well, and I'll link it down below. But basically, I have noticed for us, like congestion, random aches and pains, a lot of times it is congested lymph that is just like kind of backed up. And if we can use that lymphatic cream, obviously hydrate well, and movement is really the other thing, because the thing to keep in mind is that your lymphatic system, there is no pump. Movement and hydration is the way to get lymph flowing throughout your body. So just keep that in mind. And really, like I said, it's so interesting to me to notice whenever like a child is dealing with sickness or congestion, or for me, if I notice like a random ache or pain, and I do focus on those habits and the products that I know will get lymph flowing, and then I notice a decrease in that pain, it's just very interesting. So huge part of how we feel and our health does have to do with our lymphatic system. Okay, the fifth reason is because hydration is going to protect your joints. So if you are dealing with joint pain all the time, the thing with water, and really it has to do with synovial fluid. This is the fluid that cushions and lubricates your joints, and it is made up largely of water. So when that fluid is just too thick or there's not enough of it, your joints are going to experience more friction, more stiffness, and more pain. So if you are constantly dealing with joint pain, autoimmune symptoms, or things like that, then drinking more water can make a big difference in that. Okay, so let's talk about, we know these are the reasons. There are many more. Water is so important, but these are 5 reasons that I felt like were could be very impactful to your everyday life that I wanted to share with you. So now let's talk about, what is the goal? And the goal is to work up to, and notice I said to work up to, the goal is to drink half of your body weight in ounces per day of water. So I did say work up to, because if you are drinking no water at all, and you suddenly decide that you're going to drink 70 ounces of water a day, it might be very difficult for you to maintain that habit. So how can we make this doable? I want to share a few different ways that I think you can do this that will potentially begin to add more water into your everyday life without making it feel like it's this massive chore that has you going to the bathroom every, hour, and then also that it just doesn't feel sustainable. The first thing would be to just add an additional water, like glass of water every single day. I'm not saying add a single glass of water day 1 and then 2 on day 2, but I'm saying start with 1 additional glass of water. Do that for a week and then work up to 2, then do 3 the next week, that way. The other thing you could do, this is something that I do because I take my thyroid medicine first thing in the morning, is I will drink a full glass of water with my thyroid medicine before I have any caffeine or food, because I am taking my thyroid medicine on an empty stomach with no food and no other type of drink. So having 8 to 12 ounces of water, it's kind of like the way I look at it is, it's like the thing I have to do before I get the reward of coffee or whatever it is that I'm wanting to drink. So have that first, and then the reward is that after I do that, I get to have food or coffee or whatever it is you want. Another thing you can do is to have a jug of water. In my opinion, I think having a pretty bottle, like a metal bottle, or something that you just enjoy looking at, enjoy drinking from, and have that around and visible throughout most of the day. The more you see it, the more, it's kind of like an out of sight, out of mind type of thing. So having it front and center in something that you find visually appealing, in my opinion, makes it a little bit easier to just pop over and take a couple of drinks whenever you see it. The other thing I would say is to also focus on electrolytes. I personally use Element as electrolytes for myself. I will do usually like 1 Element packet a day, and then I can drink the other, whatever else I'm drinking, I will drink just as regular water. And then you could also do something where you're just pairing water with habits that you already do. For instance, if I'm going to walk on my treadmill when I work, I will just bring my jug of water in with me. So while I'm working, I am able to sip on water and get more water down that way. You could do it that, okay, I'm going to take the kids to school or to a therapy appointment. And so you bring your water with you. It's right there as you're driving. You might honestly just kind of aimlessly drink it. That's what I do a lot of times. It could be before meals. You're making it a habit of, I'm going to drink a glass of water before I sit down and eat a meal. Just finding those things that you're already doing and adding water to it can be a way to do it in a way that feels really seamless. And that really is the goal. We want to add these habits in a way that doesn't feel difficult. The more difficult it is, the less likely it is that we are going to stick with it. So I just want to encourage you, start small, work your way up to your goal. And the goal is at least half of your body weight in ounces of water a day. All right, guys, if you are going to start doing this, or if you've already started doing it and you notice major impacts, I would love to hear from you. You can come join us over in our free Facebook group, or you can email me, or you can reach out on social media. I will have all of that linked down in the show notes below. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see you back. Actually, I will see you back on Thursday because I am going to start releasing 2 episodes a week now. So I will see you back on Thursday. Hey friend, I hope you found today's episode helpful. If you did, would you take a minute to share it with another mom who's struggling with chronic symptoms? And leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It means the world to me to know this podcast is making a difference for you. All right, it's time for me to go tackle those snack requests, and remember that a short walk, even if the kids turn it into a race, still counts as self-care. Keep chasing those little wins. Even when it feels messy, you're making progress. The information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine. I'm not a doctor, and this podcast is not intended to treat or diagnose any condition. You're the expert on your body. Listen to it and reach out to a trusted provider for support.